Hello and a warm welcome to Sarat Chandra IAS Academy, where your dreams are our mission. This is Yatharth here. In today's video, we'll be discussing polity in the light of recent political developments. So we'll not be focusing a lot on these, but just for the background. Our main focus will be on the constitution and how the constitution sees the redistribution of wealth among the Indian population and masses. So we'll be seeing this in the light of the basic structures of the constitution, such as the preamble, the DPSP, and the fundamental rights. Alright, we'll also be talking and discussing various cases, and the video will serve as a quick revision of the basic polity. Alright, so let us talk about what we are going to cover in this video. So, recent developments, just as a background. Alright, statistics about the wealth in India. So, we need to see this, and it will be very, very important in our mains as well as interview. All right. So then we'll come to the preamble. How to, first of all, study preamble, how to learn the preamble, what to see in the preamble, what is important in the preamble, and furthermore, how it sees and secures rights to citizens. All right. Then we'll talking about the fundamental rights, where and how they act in the welfare of citizens, and what is their legal status. Coming to DPSP next. Then we'll see and talk about the important cases of the basic doctrine, the earlier happenings, what happened when India tried to redistribute the wealth right after the independence from the zamindars to the common people, and what happened when India tried to take the wealth from, let's say, in hands of those it was concentrated right after the independence in 1940s and 1950s. All right, and what changes had to be made in 1991 and why so? All right, then we'll say what are the current policies and what is the way forward. All right, what is the challenges involved in such activities and what is the way forward. So just keep attention. It will be a good lecture. All right. So now let's start from the first thing. You can, and I would suggest that you watch the lecture at 1.5 speed. All right. So that will quicken your understanding. If you are unable to understand any part or some part, you can just slow it down. All right. So let's start. So recent political developments, let's see once. So you all know Lok Sabha elections are going on. All right. And multiple different parties, whether it is the BJP, NDA, INC, whichever, they are making various different claims. All right. So Congress party said what? That we'll do a few things if we come to the power. All right. Our manifesto will include a few things. First of all, a caste census. And recently it was in news. It was also done in Bihar, etc. All right. And a caste census, they are also saying that along with the caste census, it will be a socio-economic census that will gauge that how much money is in the hands of common people. All right, as per their population and as per their presence in the social system or society. All right, and they are saying that they will redistribute the wealth that is present in India from the hands of those who are rich to those who are poor via different policies. All right, so it will include two things. First of all, taking the money from the rich, and giving it to the poor people, let's say, or stopping the money from going to the rich people somehow. Okay, so both of these policies they are saying that they will bring. All right, and BJP is not very happy with this statement. They are saying that it is a disaster. All right, and the court is saying that we will form a committee for this. All right, so already a committee has been formed following this. So following this, a portion of the 16 trillion rupees of benefits given to 22 big businessmen, let's say, Reliance, Adani, Ambani, all of these, or Bidla or so on. All right, so they are saying that this wealth will be transferred to the remaining 90% of the people of the country via various different means as a starting point for delivering social justice. So what they are saying that it is social justice. So this is looking very good for the people, let's say poor people who are just seeing the money coming in, let's say. Okay, so they are saying that Congress will conduct a nationwide socio-economic survey and to enumerate the caste and subcaste and their socio-economic condition. And based on this data, we will strengthen the agenda for affirmative action. All right. And PM Modi is not very happy with this. So this is basically the base of what we are going to study today. All right. Now let's see that what is the real condition of the India when it comes to the wealth accumulation. All right. So let's talk about the wealth here. So how much wealth is concentrated in the power of the rich? And how much wealth is there with the power of poor? All right, so let's talk about this. So India's richest 1% control 22.6% of the wealth. Richest 1% have 22.6% of the wealth. All right, national income. And more than 40% of the country's wealth. More than 40% of the overall country's wealth. Meanwhile, the bottom 50% control less than 10% of national wealth. So 50%, they have less than 10% of national wealth. So there is a huge disparity. All right, so let's see the graphs also. So the Indian plutocracy. You can read about various different cracies, aristocracy, plutocracy. All right, so plutocracy is where, let's say, the power is in the hands of wealthy or rich. Okay, so what we are seeing, richest 1% have more than 50% of India's share of wealth in the country. All right, so this is very concerning, you can say. All right, and poorest 60% have less than 5% of the wealth. All right, what do you see here? Income inequality. We are talking about the income inequality in India between 2000 to 2020. So in 2 decades, what happened? 20 years or 2 decades, what happened? What we see that top 10% share of the income, let's say this was in red. So this has increased. This has increased. So the top 10%, the wealthier are becoming even wealthier and the poor are becoming even poorer. All right. Now let's talk about the other thing, the number of millionaires whose wealth is more than, let's say, $1 million here. Okay, so the number of millionaires is also increasing. So wealthier are becoming even more wealthier. And 1.3% of world's all millionaires are in India. One more thing we see that is important here is this Gini coefficient or Gini coefficient. Okay, what does this show? It can be asked in the prelims. What is displayed by the Gini coefficient? So it is a measure of inequality with a higher figure denoting higher levels of inequality. So what we see right after Saudi Arabia, there is India. So there is so much of inequality in India that the Gini coefficient is showing upwards of 80. All right. So let us talk about what are the reasons for this. What are the reasons for this? So let's create a mind map. So India has failed to generate enough employment. All right. Employment is rather less. Second thing is inflation is very much. Inflation is also a lot. Third thing, move the workforce from low income farming to well paying non farming jobs. Or we can just say that it has failed to convert the primary sector abundance into the tertiary sector. A good example of this is China. All right, most of it is now in tertiary sector. And it is resulting, all this is resulting in high inequality of the wealth and income. Now let us see, will wealth redistribution help? What is the economist point of view? All right, so some people are saying that if we take the money from those who are wealthy right now, so this wealth may not have come to them automatically directly. They must have contributed something or done something to incur this wealth. All right, and they are helping India grow. The major economy, major capital is with them. All right, they are helping India grow. So this growth will be downfall. Okay, let's talk about let's say talk about Adani. So Adani is not sitting at home with all this wealth. Okay, he has companies, there are people employed in the company, there are businesses, there are people employed. Okay, wealth is being distributed among them also. Okay, but it is shown that the wealth is with Adani. Why? Because it is inside his corporation, all right, in his corporative system. And same is with other big companies, let's say Reliance or anything else. Their personal wealth may be very, very high. Okay, but still they are creating growth for the country. They are creating companies, they are creating jobs. They are not sitting with the wealth at their homes and doing nothing. All right. So they have hospitals. There are many, many things they are doing. Second thing, what economists are saying that while it may actually put down the growth of the country, they are saying that redistribution is required not only in the wealth. It may help a poor person, maybe. All right. But more redistribution is required in the field of education, healthcare, access to the financial resources. All right. Such as, let's say, loans. So we have Mudra loan for this. All right, but for the businesses, we must have something more. Then there is water and energy, which will boost the poor people capacity to generate income. Generate income. All right. So there is a adage which says that if you give the poor man a fish, he will just enjoy for a night. But if you teach him how to fish, then they will enjoy for the lifelong. All right. So this is what income redistribution or wealth redistribution is aiming to, let's say, get. So now we come to the second point that we may not take the wealth from these people, but what we can do is to stop them from concentrating so much wealth. So we can increase the taxes. All right, on the wealthy, we can increase the income taxes, or let's say corporate tax on the large firms, or improving educational opportunities and making them accessible to the poor. All right, now let's talk about what Indian Constitution says about this. So Supreme Court has also constituted a 9 judges bench. 9 judges bench. For what? All right. To interpret the DPSP. Interpreted the DPSP, Directive Principle of the State Policy, with respect to ownership and control of material resources. Ownership and control of material resources. So it can be called wealth. So is India a totally capitalistic nation? Is it a socialistic nation? All right, we have some socialist elements also in our country or constitution. So we cannot just let the wealth incur or go further concentrate to the top 1% earners of the country. All right, they may have a lot of income, but we cannot let this happen also. Okay, so Supreme Court is trying to decide this, that what is correct as per the constitution, because constitution is what we refer to. Okay, so let's talk about the preamble first of all. So preamble, how to read the preamble correctly and how to see it in the light of what is happening. All right, so let's just a second. I'll create a square here. All right. So what is preamble saying? That we, all right, the people of India. Two things are very, let's say, clear here, that the power is given by we. All right. And who are we? The people of India. So Indian citizen. So preamble is for and made by, let's say, Indian citizen. All right. So they have solemnly resolved to constitute India into three things. All right. Five things. One is sovereign. Second is socialist. So socialist is the element which we are trying to debate here. Okay, secular, democratic, and republic. All right, so all these five things must be very clear to you. What is the meaning of the sovereign? That means it has no external ruler, it is ruled by itself. Socialist, that means basically the society also should be focused upon, not only the state. Secular means having all religions are equal here. Democratic means that the leaders of the country are chosen by the people or democracy. And then there is a republic finally, which means that the power will be with the public. Okay, so all these five things are to be constituted or let's say promised by the preamble to the citizens of India by themselves. Okay, now, so what does preamble do? It secures again four things. Okay, four things are justice, Justice, what type of justice? One is social justice, second is economic justice, and third is political justice. So these three types of justice are to be secured by a preamble. Now we are talking here about the economic justice. Okay, because we are talking about the wealth incursion via the top 1% and nothing going to the poor 90% or 99%. All right, then we see the liberty. So liberty of what things? Thought. That means you can think anything. All right, expression, belief, faith, and worship. This is the second thing. All right, then third thing is equality of what? Status and opportunity. So this is also being harmed because of the plutocracy. All right, recently we saw the electoral bond scheme. Now big businessmen are donating most to the government. All right, or India Alliance or whatever. All right, so all these parties are taking donations from the wealthy people and making policies as per their demand, let's say, or favoring them. So what is happening to the poor people? Their status is not equal in the eye of law or even the democracy. Next, we talk about the fraternity. So fraternity is also based upon the economic justice, upon the social justice. There can be no fraternity between the very, very wealthy and very, very poor. Okay, because they have difference of status and power in the society. So that is why we cannot do one thing without the other. We cannot secure neither of them, either of them. The fraternity, equality, liberty, having the economic, let's say, disparity between the people. So that is what is going against the preamble. And finally, what we see in our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1950, 1949, do adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this constitution. So it is by whom? We, the people of India. We, the people of India. So constitution or the preamble is given to me, adopted by me, enacted by me, all right, to myself. So there's no second power making the constitution. It is we only. It is a loop. All right. That is why it can be changed. It can be dynamic. All right. It can be interpreted as per the modern things. One more thing we can say that the socialist was added with the by the Constitution 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. And one more thing we see that unity on of the nation is added also in the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. So this is the preamble. So what is preamble? What is getting wrong with the preamble in this situation? The economic justice. Economic justice. All right. So rest of all is connected with the preamble only, and we will see. Now let's come to the part 3 of the Constitution. Part 3 of the Constitution. And what is the part 3 of the Constitution? It is about the fundamental rights. The fundamental rights. So let's see the fundamental rights also very quickly. Right to equality. All right, they are all in the part 3. So right to equality is between Article 14 to 18. Article 14 to 35 are about the fundamental rights. Okay, so right to equality first. And I told you already a way to remember them. Just remember EFER, CR. Okay, so we're talking about them also. Effort, sir. Just write this word. All right. So first of all is equality. Second is right to freedom. All right. EFF means freedom. Third is the group that is right against exploitation. Not right to exploitation. Do not exploit anybody. All right. Then this right to freedom of religion. Religion. All right. Then there are cultural rights, and finally the remedies, constitutional remedies. So just remember this word. It will be far easier for you to remember the full thing. Okay, let's talk about the right to equality. So equality before law. We'll just highlight what is breaking when we have a wealth incurrence. Okay, so equality before law, it is, let's say, breaking, yes. Okay, because those who are wealthy are escaping the law easily. You can just see the case of Salman Khan. He was never in jail. Okay, you can see the case of Sanjay Dutt. All right, all of these people, you can see the uh, cases of many politicians. They have done many, many crimes. They have the cases on them, but they never really get jail. So equality before law is harmed because of this wealth incursion. Opportunity in matters of public employment, prohibition of discrimination on ground of religion, race, sex, place of birth. So this is not equal. All right, but only this law thing is getting harmed. Then we have right to freedom. So I don't think anything is getting harmed here. All right, liberty against attention. So nothing is getting harmed here. Then there is right against the exploitation. So prohibition of human trafficking, forced labor, child labor, and any factors. So this is also not getting harmed because of the wealth incursion. Next, we see the right to freedom of religion. So again, this is not getting harmed because right of conscience and right to practice freedom of religion is allowed to everybody, regardless of how poor or how wealthy they are. Then there is cultural and educational rights. So right of any section of citizen to conserve their culture, language, script. So this is also not getting harmed because of the economic diversification. Then there is right to constitutional remedies. So again, Supreme Court is same for all and high courts are also same for all. So this is also not getting harmed. So all in all, we can say that except for let's say what power money can purchase, equality before law in it itself is not getting harmed. All right. In the real world, it may be, but as per the law, it is not getting harmed because of the economic, let's say, disparity. So we can conclude that no fundamental right is getting harmed of any citizen because of the economic disparity. So what is in the constitution that can, because from the preamble, because from the preamble come two, three things. One is the fundamental right, one is DPSP, and third is the fundamental duties, that is FD. All right, so these all three things, all of these three things make the preamble. The preamble is a subjective, you can say, paragraph, and these are the objective counterparts of the preamble. So fundamental right we have eliminated. Okay, so what is in the question now? DPSP, because this is also eliminated. Citizens are not playing a part here, only the state is in question. So we are questioning the DPSP. Alright, so now let's come to the DPSP. These are eliminated. So what we can see in DPSP now? DPSP divided into three parts. One is the socialistic principle. So these are into question. Alright, so how socialistic a state should be in order to stop the concentration of the wealth in the mass or in the hands of the richest 1%. Alright, because this is not a society where 99% are very, very different from 1%. Okay, all should be equal. Then there are Gandhian principles and the liberal intellectual principles. So let's see in very minuscule time that what they are. Okay, so very minuscule time. So socialistic, first of all, is welfare of state, the protection of livelihood, resources, means, health, etc. Okay, so this is into question also. Then free legal aid, this is not into question. Work, profession, and public assistance, just and human conditions, secure living wage, this is into question. All right, or not everybody is getting the living wage here in India. There are many, many poor who are not getting to eat even. All right, participation of workers in the management, nutrition, standard of living. So this is also in the question. Okay, if they are poor, they cannot afford the such things. Then there is panchayat, cottage industry, cooperative society. All of these are not getting, let's say, prohibited, not getting stopped because of the economic disparity. Then we see the liberal intellectual. So uniform civil code, no. Childcare, elementary education, yes, this is getting somewhat affected because those who are poor are not even able to make themselves to the government schools. Okay, because even their children are occupied in income generation. So agriculture, animal husbandry, nobody, like not everybody has animals and so on. So this is also environmental, forest and wildlife, protection of monuments, separation of judiciary and executive, international peace. So these are all not getting affected. All right, what is getting affected is those DPSP which are relating to the income generation or economic DPSP. So multiples are there, especially in the socialistic principle. We see that secured living wage, this is not coming to people. Then participation of workers in the management, this is also not coming because if one cannot, let's say, take up the education, then they will not be skilled enough to be a part of the workforce. Then nutrition and standard of living, this is also not coming to everybody. All right, work as a profession and public assistance, this is also not coming to everybody. Just and human condition, we cannot say, we cannot guarantee because of the economic disparity. So socialistic principles are the ones that are being most questioned. Okay, so these are in the part 4 of the DPSP, part 4 of the constitution, which has the DPSP, directive principle of the state policy. All right, so let's just see one two important things about DPSP which can come in the prelims. Okay, let's just see here. So it is enumerated in the part 4 of the constitution, articles which to which 36 to 51, and this idea has been borrowed from the Irish constitution. Irish constitution. Please remember these points. They can come directly into prelims. Okay, this constitution was made in 1937. And they also took it from the Spanish constitution. They also took it from the Spain or Spanish constitution. So what are the features of directive principle of state policy? It denotes that ideals state should keep in mind while formulating the public policy. So state should have these things in its brain. When we are talking about the state, its brain should have the DPSP. So does it have DPSP now? All right. And it resembles the instrument of instructions in the GOI Act of 1935. In the GOI Act of 1935. So it existed even before the idea in 1937 came, but there was, let's say, it was not very detailed. Okay, so the concept is welfare state, not that of the police state. Okay, one more thing that we need to remember, they are not enforceable in nature. They are not enforceable in nature. That means a state, if it wants, can go against them while not breaching the basic doctrine of the constitution. Okay. So when we are saying they are not enforceable, what we mean to say, can we say that state can just go against them all? No. Okay, state must not make any policy which breaches the basic doctrine of the constitution. So now there is the fail-safe mechanism. All right, basic doctrine. So we'll be talking about this also. So let us see some DPSP, some article, especially these 37, 38 and 39. Okay, 39 article is very, very important for us. So right to the adequate means of livelihood for all citizens. In the economic disparity, it will not be guaranteed. Then we see the equitable distribution of material resources of the community and common good. This is also not present. So Article 39 is in question. Okay, because of the concentration of wealth. Then prevention of concentration of wealth and means of production. Again, Article 39 is into the question. Very, very important for us. Equal pay for equal work and so on. So we can see this later. But Article 39, please remember, it is in the question when there is a concentration of wealth in the country. Okay, very, very, very important. All right. Now let us clearly see the difference between the fundamental rights versus the DPSP, that is directive principle of the state policy. So quickly we will see fundamental rights we have already seen. We'll just revise part 3 versus part 4. So they are justiciable political rights which can be defended in court or case of their violation, but they cannot be defended. All right. So we'll see what is happening. Second thing, they are enforced automatically as they are guaranteed by the constitution, and these are not enforced automatically. They require laws to be formed to become enforceable. All right. This nature of these are negative. That means it cannot be done, this cannot be done, that cannot be done. All right, so whatever you do, you are protecting the fundamental rights because you cannot do anything which rejects the fundamental rights. Third thing, laws made in violation of principle of fair are bound to be declared unconstitutional. All right, court will or Supreme Court will declare them unconstitutional by one means or the other. And they limit the power of the state and thus prevent it from becoming an authoritarian dictatorship. This is the word that is being talked about a lot. So until we have fundamental rights, we cannot fall into a dictatorship. Until we have the constitution, we cannot fall into the dictatorship. All right. So the constitution, the bedrock of the Indian democratic system. They provide the necessary condition for the material and moral protection of people. All right. So they have various function. You can read from here. Not of our use right now. One more thing, DPSP, they are not enforced. So please remember, they need laws to become enforceable. And the laws which even let's say violate the DPSP will not be declared unconstitutional only because they are against DPSP. They need let's say special cases. So what special cases they need, I will tell. So the laws enacting DPSP can be validated. They do not damage the basic structure of the constitution. So fail-safe is the basic structure. We'll talk about this. Okay, they create a favorable atmosphere for people as well as the state, welfare state. Okay. So going according to the Gandhian principle, going according to the socialistic principle and basing upon the preamble. All right. So what we occurred to conclude till now that there is a preamble. Multiple things come out of the preamble as per the subjective nature of it. One are the fundamental rights, one are the DPSP, and one are the fundamental duties. So fundamental duties, let's say now the case is versus what is the case against the constitution right now? The economic disparity. Okay, so we see that fundamental rights are not being void because of the economic disparity. FD are not being void. Okay, DPSP is being void. So which type of DPSP is being void? The socialistic principles. The socialistic principles. Gandhian principles are not being void, nor the liberal principles are being void. Okay, we are seeing socialistic principle, and which article, especially Article 39. All right. And in Article 39 also, I will tell the part B and part C tell about the concentration of wealth. Concentration of wealth. And this is the case versus the economic disparity right now coming from the constitution. So now let us see if DPSP, we cannot make policies which follow the DPSP always, then what to do? Okay, so we come to the basic doctrine. What is basic doctrine? The spirit of the constitution more than the text. More than the text. So we should always follow the basic doctrine of the constitution. We cannot make any laws or policies which do not follow the basic doctrine. So let us talk about the development of the basic doctrine structure of the basic doctrine of the constitution. So when we talk about the background of this case, the Golaknath case, we come across the Shankari Prasad versus Union of India case. All right. So what we see in the Shankari Prasad versus Union of India case, what we see that SC upheld the power of the parliament to amend any part of the constitution, even the fundamental rights. All right. So scope of the amendment here was positive, supported by the Supreme Court, but it was reversed in the Golaknath case. It was reversed in the Golaknath versus State of Punjab case. So, what was this? The Supreme Court held in this case that Article 368, which contained provisions relating to the amendment of the Constitution, merely led the amending. Okay, it did not tell what or what cannot be amended. So, this brought in the procedure limitations of the Parliament's power to amend the Constitution. Basically, it said that Parliament cannot, this means the Supreme Court stated that fundamental rights could not be amended or restricted even if such a move received unanimous approval of both houses, that means Lok Sabha as well as the Rajya Sabha, as they were sacrosanct in nature. So fundamental rights could not be amended or restricted. Alright, so this was the Shankari Prasad versus Golaknath case, we can say. Okay, so Shankari Prasad or SP case, what we see that Supreme Court said that all could be amended, positive outlook. And in the Golaknath case, what we can say that Supreme Court said that they cannot be amended. Okay, so it was a versus case. All right, let's talk about here. So Shankari Prasad versus Union of India case. So Parliament's unlimited power to amend the constitution. Okay, this is the first thing. Second thing is Golaknath versus State of Punjab. So ruled that Parliament cannot amend fundamental rights. So this was 1 versus 2, you can say. Okay, and 24th Amendment of 1971, what did it say? That Articles 13 were amended, Article 368, to provide Parliament the power to amend any provision of the Constitution. Alright, and insulate such amendments with judicial review. So it was during the 1971 emergency period and so on in the Indira Gandhi government. So they also reversed the Golaknath thing and also said that these amendments will also not be justified. So it was completely, we can say, dictatorship here. All right. So this gave origin to the Keshwanand Bharati case of 1973. That is the one landmark case in which established the basic structure of doctrine of the Indian Constitution, limited the Parliament's power to amend it. Supreme Court at once said that there is something known as the basic doctrine of the constitution and that cannot be amended. Okay, you can even amend the fundamental rights, not rights, but some things cannot be amended in the constitution and that will always be followed whatever policy you make. So basic structure doctrine, what we see, so establish the basic structure doctrine of Indian constitution which limits the power of Indian parliament to amend certain provisions of the constitution. They cannot be amended because amending them will go against the basic structure. Alright, so verdict asserted the independence of Indian judiciary, expanded the scope of public interest litigation PIL, and established the supremacy of Indian constitution over any law made by parliament or state legislature. So even if any law is made by the parliament, SC can declare it void. SC can say it is unconstitutional. Okay, remove it. So recently held in the electoral bond scheme. Alright, so other cases we see name of the case. So Bhim Singh ji case, very important. It gave us the structure of a welfare state, socio-economic justice. Okay, one is SR Bomai case. So it talked about the federalism, secularism, democracy, and so on. and judicial review. Minerva Mills case is very important. Judicial review for emergency. Okay, harmony and balance between the fundamental right and DPSP. So these were given by the, let's say, element of basic structure, which was talked about in these cases. You can read about all these cases. And Keshwanand Bharati case, very important, 1973. Fundamental rights case, the supremacy of the constitution. So all of these you can see. We talked about all of them. The Shankari Prasad case. Okay, Parliament has the power to amend. So very positive power, very much strengthening the Parliament. Then we talked about the Golaknath case directly, skipping this Sajjan Singh versus the state of Rajasthan. Okay, but in this also the same view was, let's say, supported by the Supreme Court or the High Court of the Rajasthan. All right, and then Golaknath case came, which contradicted both. So a negative view towards the amending power of the Parliament. Then we see the 24th Constitutional Amendment, again positive power plus judicial reviews, so very much power to the Parliament. Now came the 1973 Keshwanand Bharati case, so again negative Parliament, negative power, as well as the basic doctrine thing. All right, basic structure of doctrine. Then came the Indira Gandhi versus Raj Narayan. This was an election case. Okay, it was happened during the election case. So applied basic structure for the first time and struck down 39th Amendment. Then came the 42nd Constitutional Amendment. So it amended the protected against being called in question by a court. So constitutional amendments protected against being called in question by any court. So again, very much power to the government. Then we see the Minerva Mills case. Parliament power to amend the constitution is limited by the constitution itself. All right, so again a negative thing by the Supreme Court. So this has developed over time. So what we can say that now finally the Supreme Court has the power to interpret the constitution, all right, and give any such policies which are against the DPSP or which are against the basic doctrine of the constitution a negative status. All right, now let's talk about the general statistics and understanding of this thing. Okay, so constitution originally guaranteed right to property. Okay, what has happened when it was done before? So right to property, fundamental right against Article 19. It was earlier in the Article 19. It was a right to property. But what happened after the independence? The government had to do some welfare measures, and for them they had to take the land of the big zamindars and all. All right. So now they removed it from the right to fundamental right. They removed them from the fundamental rights and they put them into the legal rights and constitutional rights. Okay. So they can, like the government can take your land, but will give a compensation. Give a good compensation. All right. So it provided until Article 31 now. Article 31. That the state shall pay compensation in case of acquisition of private property. Okay, so main property rights earlier were related to the agricultural lands and so on because the state had to make highways, they had to make roads, they had to make factories. Okay, and now it is very different. Now it is not related much to the land. It is related to various different forms of the economic concentration. All right. So now what we see in between one more thing that which constitutional amendment omitted the right to property as a fundamental right and made it a constitutional right under Article 300A. Under Article 300A. So, which constitutional amendment act? It was 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. So, now let us talk about what are the challenges involved. Okay, way forward we'll see, but let's see the challenges. What happened when it was done earlier. Okay, so earlier what we saw that lands were taken from zamindars and all by the state, and what even happened that the direct taxes were even increased to 97% for stopping the encourage let's say concentration of wealth. Estate duty on inheritance was increased a lot. Okay, tax on wealth was increased a lot earlier. Tax on wealth was increased a lot. And one more thing, there were also restriction on the growth of private enterprises. Earlier privatization was not there. Okay, so what was the act that stopped the privatization? The Monopoly Act. Okay, Monopoly Act of 1969. Fully, it was known as the MRTP Act, that was Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act of 1969. Okay, so this law was designed to ensure that economic system operation does not result in concentration of economic power in the hands of few, basically against the privatization and capitalization. All right, basically against the privatization and capitalization. So what happened? This stopped the growth of the country. Okay, so this stifled the growth of the country and resulted in the concealment of income and wealth. People did not tell that we have this wealth. All right, there was a lot of black money. Lot of black money. The growth also dropped. India had to take loans from IMF and so on. Okay, so what happened that our economy changed from our economy changed from such economy towards a liberalized, globalized, and privatized economy. All right, so there was a change in our economy, and new industrial policy was unveiled in 1991. Okay, so what did it say? That we will take along these measures, and there was more privatization, more, let's say, capitalization, and this MRTP Act was also repealed and was replaced with the Competition Act, that there will be fair competition among all the companies, and this came in 2002. And income tax rates were also reduced considerably. Estate duty was established in 1985, and wealth tax was also deleted from, let's say, our government system in 2016. Okay, so all of these things tell us that we have had a full loop of all these things, and now we don't need to do it better. We need to focus more upon the education and so on. Okay, so market driven economy has resulted in additional resources for the government that has helped people from bringing out of abject poverty. Okay, so market economy, basically the capitalist economy, so it has helped government instead of putting it back. Okay, so it has put some money into the Indian economy. So the economic system has also resulted in growing inequality. So as we have already seen the statistics of the inequality, now what is happening? Congress has said that they will be paying 1 lakh rupees annually to everybody, all poor women, and so on, so on. The promises have been made, and Supreme Court has already made a bench to decide that Article 39B, okay, does it include the private wealth of people as well? Okay, private wealth is included in the material wealth as material resources as well. So this is what's going on. Okay, so now what is the way forward from here? We should focus more on the things that the capitalist economy is putting into the market, let's say. Okay, while not reducing our growth, we should focus more on income redistribution in the economic systems, in the, let's say, the healthcare, the education, and so on. So this can be a way forward to us, and what develops in the future is a way to see. All right, so that is for the future only. I'll put this PDF into our Telegram channel, and I hope that will be helpful for you. Your comments and feedback you can drop in the comment section. I'll be happy to help you with everything. And next lecture we'll be taking very soon. So this is Yatharth here signing off. I'll see you in the next lecture. Have a great day ahead. See you soon and study well.